Good afternoon, welcome to Toffee TV. This is the final word. Everton 0, Manchester United 3. A very, very disappointing outcome at Goodison Park yesterday. This game was built up. Lots of protests, the fans done their bit. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen on the pitch once the game started. Partly because we got to witness goal of the season after about 2.5 minutes, which we didn't really need to, unless it was from one of our players, but it wasn't. Joined by Jack in the studio. Jack, very, very disappointing.
It wasn't meant to go like this, was it? With, all the talk coming up and, all the siege mentality talk and everyone focusing on what the atmosphere was going to be like, the protests. And, I don't know about you, but myself, I was thinking, or maybe hoping this is going to be one of those days where it goes right for Everton after a bad week, a very bad week. And you're thinking, okay, but we're going to get something back this weekend and, we're going to go for it and the players are going to be up for it. And, we'll say to the Premier League, it doesn't matter how many points you dock us because we'll stay up anyway. And, there is a lot of optimism in that. Man United's obviously a much better team than Everton as the Premier League table shows, but that was the hope going into the game, and then obviously straight away to win gets took out of the sails.
Pat, the team was named. It was just basically the same team. No much surprise there. Amadou Onana we knew wasn't going to make it. James Coleman was back on the bench, so we got the team news, and then obviously there was the atmosphere march and. Evertonians have been gathering, and the fans done their bit, didn't they, in the build-up to it. And once inside the stadium, obviously had the booing of the Premier League anthem and all of that stuff that went on, and, some rather lively, colourful songs. Everything was set up, wasn't it, at half-4, ready to go, and yet, within a couple of minutes, it was... Someone put the pin in the balloon, didn't he?
Yeah, it certainly felt like that, didn't it? It was... Obviously, the team was pretty much what we expected it to be, with no Onana, and I suppose disappointingly, better on the bench, just to have that extra player, bit of quality maybe to come on and cause some issues. But yeah, the atmosphere was magnificent. The march was up from County Road was brilliant. Hundreds, thousands of people there, and it was creating this atmosphere of us against the world. And you still need people to do the jobs, don't you? And I don't know whether the players... I think people thought maybe the players should come out really, out the blocks, and a few naughty ones left on players. But I think maybe the manager would have warned the players, don't get caught up in the atmosphere of don't get caught up in the emotion of it. I think some of us have to admit that kind of... that side of football is dead, I'm afraid. I generally think it is. I generally think managers will never send teams out unless it's like a lower league or a cup match maybe to do that anymore. I think that's one of the sad parts of football now.
I thought we had to approach it like a cup match though.
I know, but I just don't think we live in an era now where you can do that. I think it's one of the great levels of football used to be you could get physical. I don't know if you can get physical on teams anymore, sadly, or it doesn't seem like we can. We certainly get done for it. And the game, we allowed them to get into a rhythm pretty quickly, and they're allowed to get to the byline and put a cross into the box, which is always going to be dangerous, especially early on. But obviously, what happened when the cross came in is something you can't really account for. You can't really stop. Most people would have thought they'd done the jobs because it's across to the back post, and Garnacho's pulled 1 in a million, and you're one behind, and as you said, the bubble is burst very, very quickly.
Yeah, I thought we should have come flying out the traps at them, and not necessarily leave them naughty tackles in, but just show a little bit of intent. And I mean, I've watched enough games under Sean Dyche at Goodison to know that that's not what we do. We just basically retreat into our box against the team who we think are better than us, and then let the game settle down. But I just thought yesterday was the opportunity to mix it up and try to feed off that energy that the crowd created. But we didn't. And once the game, Manchester United got on the ball basically straight away and had all the ball, and Dalot's allowed to overlap. and pulls a cross in, and Garnacho scores goal of the season, an absolute worldie. Said before, one of the best goals I've ever seen. Live, the ball flew. That's such unbelievable pace into the back of the net. One of them where, once it leaves his foot, you just think it's in. You just know with some goals, and it hit the net, and you're just like, well, what a start that is, because it was just an unbelievable goal, but not what we needed.
No, definitely not. And, you know, like you say, majority of times, you know, 99 times out of 100, you don't concede that goal that way. And people have spoke about Pickford, could you have done better? For me, definitely not. It was a perfect finish. You know, one of the best goals in Premier League history. Those type of goals don't get saved for a reason. That's why it's so good. And you can tell straight away what he's going for, because you see him take the 2 steps backwards and he's looking over his shoulder, waiting for the ball. You're hoping he's just going to try and take it down and knock it on, and then maybe we can scramble the ball away. But obviously he goes for the bicycle kick and just plants it into the top corner. And, you know, everything we said in advance about, you know, we're going to get on top of them, we don't really get a chance to do that, because straight away the game's momentum's just taken away from us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going back to your point, Baz, you're absolutely right. We should have started the game, I think, a little bit quicker, but to keep to keep the crowd
engaged.
Not engaged, because it's only a couple of minutes in, but you know what I mean. You know,
the noise levels.
You can see that if you can see the players are with you, if you can see they're on your side, if you can see that if they've got the same mentality as you, to allow them to just build up the play they want to put a ball into the box. I know people go, well, it's only a couple of minutes in, that happens anyway. You deal with it 9 times out of 10, but sometimes I don't know. It's difficult. So as I said, I think the way we normally play with Dyche is a slow and steady start, which allows us to build into games, and obviously stops the opposition from doing what they want to do. And it's very evident that, say, in the last few weeks, as we've started, we've just put our foot into the game slowly, and then emerge. You know, you think of the away games at West Ham, and
not at Palace, though. We were ahead.
No, we were ahead, weren't we? Because we have started well. Bournemouth, where we've got into the game quite early ourselves. So I'm sure the manager will be disappointed by that. Once the ball comes into the box, there's very little anyone can do about it. Should you be
closer to him?
I just think that, you know, even the shape of the cross, it looks like it's going away from him.
Is it just simply one of them where you just have to hold your hand up and say, there's nothing we could do? Really, he's got round the back of us, he's put a cross in. Like you said, maybe the defenders think we're okay, it's cleared the goal, we're okay. You can only pull it down to me and Gage, and he's pulled off a worldie of a goal, and you've won down. And I'm probably splitting hairs. I just wanted us to be fast and furious for 5 minutes, and just keep that energy going in the stadium, not make them a bit jittery, because when we did do that, they were jittery. You know, they kicked a couple straight out for throw-ins and stuff. They were trying to knock it round. To me, at times, in the first half, we were passive. We allowed them to do what they wanted, and it was when we did step it up and started harrying them and putting them under pressure, we started getting a little bit of joy. And obviously we had the protesting on 10 minutes, which was loud again, and that kind of regenerated the stadium. That, even though it was 1-0, it kind of picked everybody back up. And then we did have some good moments then after that. Yeah. And, you know, I'm just thinking, like, Dom's had the one where he's had the shot and the keeper saved it, and Dwight McNeil, the goalie's laying on the floor. And if he just leathers it with his right foot, it's 1-1, and he tries to dink it, yeah.
Yeah, I do think the emotion and the occasion got on top of some of the players. That's not the fans' fault at all. No. It's the players for not knowing how to respond to that. But, you know, Calvert-Lewin, like you say, I think some of the headers, he tried putting a bit too much on them. And he tried to go for them a bit too much when, you know, they were good deliveries. They just needed guidance. McNeil second-guessed himself when he went for that chance, because he knew this is the equaliser. This is where we turn the game around. And I think he overthinked it a little bit, going for that stupid little dink. And the other situations in the game where players were just taking a little bit too long to sort the feet out, I think they weren't necessarily prepared for the occasion either.
You see, when that ball rolled, like from where I am, when the keeper saves it and he parries it back and McNeil's running in, with the whole goal. I'm thinking it's 1-1, and because the ball's practically on the line.
I'm waiting for like the park.
Exactly, and they were gonna rise, and then that to me, you have all of those things in like a millisecond, like you're ready to celebrate, and when it stays out, you're just like, how's he missed it? Yeah. The goalie's practically on the floor. How is he not? Because if he just smashes that with a bit of power, it's in. There's nothing the keeper can do. It's 1-1, and it's a different game. And we had the Adelaide Core one. He's got to. Well, if he hasn't got to score, he's got to hit the target.
On target.
Got to be. We've had headers across the goal. You just mentioned Dominic Calvert-Lewin had 2 really good opportunities. And Ped at that stage, this is a thing we've seen before. Sadly, this season. You know, you think back to Fulham, you think back to Wolves, you think back to Luton. All of these games came and went from Everton just missing good opportunities. And this time, we were playing against a very good side.
This is the XG argument, though, isn't it? This is the thing that we were saying early on. And I'm not changing the narrative or spinning the narrative. I'm just saying that's what happens. You can create chances. It doesn't mean you finish chances. That's the thing about XG. That's the thing that I understand. You can still make good chances. You don't have to play that well to create good chances. We do make good chances. It's just that we don't finish them. And if you don't finish them and you're playing better sides,
you get punished.
You're asking for it.
You're asking for it. And that's the thing. People can use the XG thing to. It's good that we're making chances, and another day we score those chances, or like Jack was saying, if there's a little bit less pressure maybe on the players, then maybe he does just finish that. He'll finish that all the time in training. That's you're watching the training videos. That's the difference. But when there's a hostile crowd and you know that how important situations are, you might try and put that extra little bit on it to make sure it goes in, and the extra little bit might be the thing that stops it going in. And that is the thing with the 10 points deduction that you can't account for. It's created pressure. You know, it's dead easy to sit here and go, oh, we're better than those bottom 3 teams, or the 3 teams who came up or whatever. But the point being is, those teams don't fear the situation, because what have they got to fear? We're in a situation now where all the pressure's on us. We've done all the hard work to get ourselves away from there. One of the most informed teams going into this game, and yet suddenly 10 points, all the pressure's on. And what does that do to players who've been playing with a little bit of freedom over the last few weeks? That can't be quantified. That simply can't be quantified. Oh, you'll be all right because you'd rather take the points this year. No, I wouldn't, mate. I'd rather never have the points, because I truly don't think we deserve the points. I really don't. And I'll stand by that, and I'll argue till we're blue in the face with anyone about that. I truly don't believe any football deserves, unless they've done something on the pitch to deserve it. I don't believe the point should be on the pitch, personally. Or have actually paid off a ref or done something like that. I truly don't. I just don't see it. But anyway, that kind of pressure is different now, and I think you sort of felt that, as Jack was saying there. We were snatching at chances. The Decore one on another day might just take a lovely first touch, maybe, and then just bend it into the corner. Oh, you know, that's where we are now, and that's where these players are going to have to deal with that very quickly.
Ped's right, Jack, isn't he? Is that it is unquantifiable. When you're in that stadium yesterday, it felt totally different. Whereas the last few weeks watching Everton, there's a relaxation about it. It's like, yeah, we're doing all right. We've got enough. If yesterday would have been Everton with the 14 points that they were on against Manchester United with the 20 points they were on, or whatever they're on, 21, whatever it was before the game, it would have been a different feel. Manchester United might have still won the game 3-0. It might have played out exactly the same way. But there's a different feel about it. Dwight McNeil maybe doesn't snatch at that chance. Maybe just taps it in. Maybe, you know, you just can't tell. But there is the feeling. There was the feeling in that stadium yesterday when you went in, that the feeling of unjust. Like Ped just said, those PSR rules are there purely for a financial aspect. There's nowhere in the Premier League rule handbook says it's anything. Well, it's not correlated to sporting advantage. It's not. So why is there a sporting sanction being put in? That's the issue. And when you walked in that ground yesterday, you felt that heaviness again of like, We're back where we started and we don't deserve to be.
Well, it's the thing we've just got away from, isn't it? Literally the last few weeks when, you know, the results started going well for us as well, and, you know, we've stopped looking over the shoulder as often, especially as often as we have had to do the last couple of years when relegation has been a real possibility. And obviously we knew the commission was coming up and there's all the takeover stuff as well, but on the pitch things were quiet because we didn't. Games weren't must win. Games where we're playing a better side weren't seen as must win. Like you say, Baz, you know, Man United, if there was no 10-point deduction on that, they still might have beat us. But we wouldn't have gone into that game thinking, we could really do the win here because we're 5 points off safety. And that is going to affect us every game for the rest of the season unless this is resolved or changed. And that's up to us to fix. So it's not a case of, we're being punished every game for the 10-point deduction, but for all intents and purposes we are, because every approach for every game is going to be different now. It's going to be so much more pressure than we would have had otherwise, because that's not what our results have merited. Our results this season have merited a current place of about 14th, so we should be higher about relegation.
If you're going with XG, Everton should be 6 or 7.
No, but without even getting into that, just looking at like stone cold results, which should be mid-table, not really thinking about relegation.
Well, it affects your psyche over the weekend. You're looking at games and you're thinking, you mean Palace have been beaten by Luton because and all those things. Then people going into the stadium thinking, well, Luton won, so even if we got a win today, we're not out the bottom 3. That all creates a different psyche. You're watching the game and suddenly people today are like, actually, I'm a bit worried now. And it creates a completely different...
10 days ago, no one was
exactly,
worried.
So you go into the Forest game next week and people will be like, this is a must-win. And you're not going in with that relaxation of...
Whereas going to Forest, you go, draw today. You know, if you win,
that's what I'm saying. You go into those games there's a completely different mentality within the fan base, and that, again, as I said, that can't be quantified. That's what they've done to us. You know, financially, they've the points could be, the positions could be huge, and then you've given Luton that opportunity now to go. If we can
build a bit of a
win
lead.
if we can win a game every 4 games and get a point every 4 games, then we can get away from these. And I just don't think that can be it just can't. I keep on using the word quantify, but it can't be said enough that how much of a blow it is. A blow, to this fan base.
And it's impossible to measure in direct terms, isn't it? Because, you know, people could say, you would have lost this game anyway, or, you know, Luton might have won this game anyway, and we'll never know the answers to what might have been now, but it's undeniable the effect it'll have.
Yeah, it's more than just points.
It is. It's a horrible thing because it does feel unjust for us as fans. We aren't the ones going, do this, do that, spend money here, do this, whatever. We're just the recipients of it. We have to just basically take what is thrown at us, and it's like, we've earned better than this. Okay, we've had 2 seasons where we've been crap, and we've been down where we deserve to be. We haven't won enough games. We've picked poorly, we've bought poorly, and it put us in a difficult predicament. But part of that difficult predicament was Premier League induced. By the way, them looking over our shoulder, you can't do this, you need to get rid of that, you need to do that, and then you've hammered us anyway. You take those couple of years of being told what you can and you can't do, and you struggle, you take that as your medicine, but then you can't be then kicked in the bollocks when you do it, because they want to pretend to the government that everything they do is above board and everything they do, they can look after themselves. But us as a fan base have to suffer that, and we have to suffer all the nonsense from other fans, you know, and the abuse and all of this when we haven't done anything. And it's to do with building a stadium, and it is that thing when you go back in and you just think, right now it's like, here we go again, another long season that we didn't deserve. Now, you're right, Jack, the only way we can deal with this is to win games quickly then. Win games quickly, catch them back up, and then move away. And then you go, see, fuck you, fucking 10 points, you know what I mean? And whatever. What else we need is this commission, this appeal commission, to be set a date very quickly, like January or something, where it's in the meantime. You know? And now, personally, people might agree or disagree, but I think when there's an appeal going on, the point shouldn't have been taken.
No.
There should have been a thing saying subject to appeal. If Everton then go through the appeal and come out the other side and they're guilty, and the independent panel go, we're upholding the 10 points, then yeah, by all means. But you also have to factor in that is a financial sanction as well, which they said they weren't going to do. It's 11 million quid in league placings. So we have been double punished there. But it should definitely be done the minute there's no room, then it's done. The minute that decision is done. Because you're here and then the next minute you get the points back, or you get, don't know, say Everton got 6 points back, for argument's sake. Then all of a sudden we're back above Luton. And like Luton are back in, and it's like, what the fuck's going on with this league team? You know, it should have been left where it was until there was the final decision is done. And then if it's 10 points, Everton do drop. Because right now we're playing games with a pressure that, what if, for argument's sake, they have the appeal and the new commission looks at it and goes, that should never have been done, right? But what we're doing, we're proposing 6 or 9 points suspended, whichever, but that's it. It's suspended and maybe a fine. I don't know, right? I'm just making it up as I go along, but maybe that. Then all of a sudden Everton are back where they were, but you've had these games that have been written off through pressure, and then all of us, now okay, we'd all be dancing in the streets if we got 9 points back, because that will probably take us away from danger. But we shouldn't have all of this period now where
it's all the games that we might lose because we're dealing with the pressure of having a must-win game less than halfway into the season, when we've actually got a much better record than all the teams around us and shouldn't be in this conversation.
We've won as much as all three promoted teams combined. That's how many games we've won.
But what happens as well, and I know it wouldn't play out exactly like this, but what happens if this doesn't get resolved until later in the season, and say it looks like, it's going to go down to the wire, Everton or Luton, for argument's sake, are going to go down, and then they go, the appeals come in, Everton are getting 8 points back, that takes us down, then Luton are relegated. Like, you'd be unhappy as a Luton fan as well, because you've teased them with the possibility of staying up, and then you go, oh no, we're actually giving Everton these points back because we didn't actually do a very good job
because they don't know where they're at.
Commission. So that'd be unfair on them as well, and the whole thing's been a mess, and like you say, the points shouldn't have been put on immediately while there's appeal in process, because to ignore the effect this will have on Everton going forward, and yeah, it's Everton's responsibility to solve it, but it needs to be acknowledged it's a massive pressure. That's going to take points off us as well.
It's a massive load of shit, more like.
It is. Back to the game. The half-time whistle coming. Went in at half-time and quite easily could have been 3-1 up. We'd had 3 really good opportunities in that first half. And at half-time, I'm thinking, if we just carry on what we're doing, these are giving us chances, we get one. Yeah, you know, the Gladys Street will suck the ball in, quote, and all that. It'll really ignite the place again then, and then we'll drive on and we might make it, we'll see what United are made of. And yet, we came out the second half, and whoever had put some, like, I don't know, they put like bleeding something in the tea, like lavender in the tea or something, to just chill them all down and make them sleepy, because we come out and
CBD.
There was no CBD, there was no energy whatsoever after half time. And 6, 7, 8 minutes later, we can see the penalty.
No, again, it's that intensity you were talking about earlier, though. It's that intensity, you know, the having the press, you know, getting in people's faces. You know, I know I was talking about something slightly different before, but you're right, it's that coming out the box going, right, we need to get this crowd going again, we need to show the other side of us. I mean, you can press and harry and get in people's faces without losing the shape. I mean, that's the whole point. You know, good sides do it. We don't seem to have that. We seem to have a half press.
We do. Yeah.
We allowed the back four to get on the ball, or Onana to get on the ball, or whatever, and it allowed them to start moving the ball a little better, and you know, they were quicker and sharper, and a couple of little passes, and Martial gets himself on the edge of the box, and one touch, and Ashley Young's foot comes out, and yeah, he said it was a diver first, but I thought the longer the Man United players protested, I thought this is a given. It's given. I mean, I know they checked them anyway, but this is giving the VAR that little bit of extra time to have a little look, and they came to the decision it was a penalty, which I haven't seen it. I thought it was. I
said at the time, me and Barry Williams actually were saying it wasn't a dive, so it's either right on the line So it's whether you say it's a free kick or it's a penalty. He wasn't going to give a free kick because he booked him money. Or it's a penalty because he didn't dive. You could see clear as day he didn't dive. It was just whether it was in the box. And the minute, my only real gripe with it is how long it took the referee, because he seemed to be shaking his head at first. He was looking, and it was almost like they were trying to convince him that it was a penalty. I don't know. I saw it again then on the cameras, like quite close to me in front, and I could see it on a thing. When I seen it on, it was like, it's a penalty. Ashley Young just puts a foot out for no reason.
And someone sticks a foot out. It's a penalty. I'm not being funny. If you did that in the street, it would take you over.
It was a penalty.
Someone trip. That's literally the definition of a trip, isn't it?
I just don't know what Ashley Young was thinking. And he'd already been at his normal booking after 25
We were saying
minutes.
before, I think if you're 1-0 down at home against Manchester United, then you can see where the issues are. If you've got to take them off, you've got to be brave enough to just say, we need to start off on an overlapping full-back, because actually, how are we going to get back into this game? And he's simply not the answer. And every week I do the start 11 and I put Nathan Patterson in there, because to me, Ashley Young can have a good game, but he's still not what the team needs. No. The team needs full-backs who go past the wide men, especially on the right-hand side.
And particularly at Goodison.
Exactly, but especially on the right-hand side, where Jack Harrison is so left-footed and wants to come. I mean, he's obviously not as left-footed as the fella on the other side, but you know what I mean? He wants to come inside, and you need that. And there was a moment in the second half, a bit later on, where Harrison had the ball, and Ashley Young was 5 yards behind him and still didn't sprint past him. And I'm just like, what's the point? What is the point? We've got a young lad there that obviously has his issues in terms of his defending and his positioning. But you know what? Michalenko used to be similar issues, but at least he's growing into the role.
He's only going to learn Patterson by play, isn't
Well, you've got Seamus Coleman. But Seamus Coleman, and Coleman knows when to go. Or when not to go.
Well, that caused Everton a bit. I mean, we conceded the penalty. It's a great penalty by Rashford, top corner, not Pickford could do. And that definitely did take all the wind out of it. It could have quite easily reignited about 40 seconds later, because Idrissa Gana Gueye smashes one into the top corner. I'm right behind it. Onana was over that side, does make a really good save. A little bit further over, he might have caused them an issue. That would have got us back in the game.
I don't know how he hit that so well after that chance he scuffed earlier
in the first half.
He took it off to Corey, and then he just pelts it at the corner flag.
Yeah, it was a crazy shot, that. But that would have got us back in. But like Pez just said there, to me, the second half followed like the Arsenal and Luton game at Goodison, whereas we didn't have a clue what to do. There was no way you're playing. Every now and again we did a long straight ball. Tarkowski, thinking he was Kevin De Bruyne, just smashing things out for goal kicks. We had no variation, and that's where an attacking fullback on the outside would have given us that. And I think the manager, I'd have took Young off the minute he wildly swung at Garnacho and got booked, to be honest with you, because he's just a liability on a booking, and it takes away anything he's got then. But at half-time, I'd have changed them and said to Patterson, get on the outside, or Coleman, like Ped said, either of them. When you've got the opportunity and Jack Harrison comes inside, get on the outside. That would have opened the pitch up a little bit for us. We saw it late on when Patterson did come on. We got in 3 or 4 times around the back. That should have been so much earlier, Jack.
Especially in that second half as well, where we were struggling getting up the pitch, and then, another 10 minutes has gone in the second half. Youngs gave us nothing going forward, and he's gave away a penalty, and he's on a booking. He would have had the second booking if the ref hadn't given it as a dive first. Most likely, you can't give yellows on VAR, can they? So, he probably got a bit lucky there as well. And, we mentioned Ashley Young going forward, or, the lack of what he was going for. And that is a massive issue. And, we will keep banging that drum. But he's not even been convincing defensively. Even, you mentioned Michalenko, and, the argument with him was always, it's a double-edged sword, because he is okay defensively if he's not great going forward. Young's been poor at both ends, and I didn't think he'd be this bad. He looked like a safe pair of hands. He'd be experienced, and okay, the legs won't necessarily be there, but he's a good pro. He doesn't look switched on at all, and I don't know if that's just because the legs have completely gone and they can't react as fast as his brain does.
I don't think his brain reacts as quick as his legs do, though. That's half the problem.
That's the problem. He doesn't look experienced, and I'm trying to find the reason for why that is. But you don't forget how to be a footballer.
He's 38. He's a decent squad player. He can do 3 or 4 different roles for you. he's the one that at times should be coming on the right wing with 20 minutes left and,
See a game out.
and putting his... Yeah, but if you come on with 20 minutes, he'll be fit enough that he can almost cram an hour into 20 minutes in terms of running up and down, and it gives you that breather. Because he put a great cross in the first half. He's just never in them areas to do it because he doesn't want to go. His bottle's gone of going too far because he can't come back. And that's what the one you're talking about. He ran and stopped. And it's like, if he'd just carried on, he'd have slid you in. Yeah. And then I trust him to pick someone out in the middle. If you think I can't go because I can't get back, that causes a problem. And Jack Harrison is so, he's not one-footed because he can use his right, but he predominantly wants to come inside. And then you've got the reverse pass there. Fullbacks have to think, well, I've got to go with this fella.
He takes a runner with him.
Which buys you a yard for him to pick someone out. And I just thought we let the game creep on in the second half.
No coincidence that Jack Harrison's always marked by two players because they don't have to worry about it.
There's nothing on the outside, yeah.
I mean, the subs were made on the 73rd minute and then we conceded the third on the 75th. I mean, the manager has waited too long there. You know, he really has.
Let's be honest, it was game over when Rashford scored.
But why have we got that mentality that it's game over at 2-0?
Because he doesn't do anything
No, that's
different.
what I'm saying. We have a mentality that it's over at 2-0. The fan base has a mentality that it's over. There's still 40 minutes left in the game. And yet to us, and you've just said it yourself, Garner Gay gets a volley out of his feet. And it could have been 2-1, and then suddenly you have engaged the fan base again. The second half just petered out as a non-entity. Yeah. And that happens far too much at Goodison Park. We're shite there. I mean, you know, again, if anyone ever questions why when people go, oh, we don't want to leave mid-season, I'd leave now. Because the place is cursed, but the bigger picture is that when we go 2-0 down, why doesn't the manager just say, well, we might as well make a sub now? Ashley Young isn't going to change. The game isn't going to be changed because Ashley Young's still on the pitch. It's going to change because he goes off, and actually we introduce something. We go, and he even said himself in the press conference afterwards, he was at the third goal. Well, we were going for it, so they opened us up. It's like, yeah. So that was the 75th minute, mate. We were already 2-0 down. We're obviously going to have a better chance, aren't we? And I'm like, you know, and I'm not like creating a narrative here, as some people like to think that I do. I think everyone can see this. The manager, as soon as they score their second, and as soon as he gets the foul as well, that he doesn't get booked for, which means next one, you're getting sent off, sunshine. Why isn't the manager just going, come on, I've got two other right backs there. It's the one position where we've actually got depth with quality.
Well, once Patterson come on, we got in round the back 3 or 4 times. Okay, some of the final ball wasn't good enough, but we were showing we could open them up. And that was an area that you do have to change something. You have to do something a bit different. Dwight McNeil had a terrible game. He had a terrible game. He really did, and he should have gone off earlier, really. But if you'd have put Patterson on and you're more attacking this way, who knows, there would have been less reliance on McNeil to get forward.
It just gives you more variation, doesn't it? Makes you a little bit less predictable, especially with just giving you fullbacks or playing fullbacks with a bit more licence to go forward. Like you say, it takes a runner, or you can get the ball to them and you play the 1-2, or they've got the cross into the box. It just means you're not doing the same thing every single time. And after the first half, where we did make a lot of chances and overall didn't play too poorly, you've got to expect that United are going to change and going to try and shut us down a bit more. Clock on to the fact that we've done the same thing every time in terms of getting up the pitch, try and adapt to that and shut down our only way of getting forward, and they did that. And obviously, we didn't perform at the same intensity second half even. I don't know if maybe that's because they did so well in terms of chance creation in the first half, and there was a bit of an attitude of it's going to come for us because, you know, look how well we've done so far in terms of making chances. I obviously don't know what was said at half time, but that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know why they'd take the foot off the pedal otherwise.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Frustrating's the word.
If it's not working, you've got to change it. But you've got to, like you saying there about down the right, if you change that in the 52nd minute, right, then you know you're going to get more joy out of it. You know you're going to make them have to think a little bit more. Luke Shaw's been injured, so he's not. He was taken off eventually. He's not going to be as fit. You introduce a different thing. When you start putting quality into the box, then therefore Don thinks, right, I'm going to have 4 or 5 opportunities here to get on the end of something. that to me is what you're introducing with 40 minutes to go. Whereas if you keep doing the same thing till the 73rd minute, it does drain out the stadium. The hope starts draining away. You're not seeing opportunities being created. You're 2-0 down, so that you are beaten. And I just think you have to introduce something that gets the fans thinking, right, we can go again in a second wind. And if all we've got Patterson to do that, or Seamus Coleman, then you've got to roll the dice. You can't wait. I just don't.
How many times have we been sat in Goodison watching that though, Pet?
No, I know.
Watching the game just ebb away.
This is our criticism of dice. This is our criticism.
To be fair, this isn't just.
No, it's not dice.
It happened with Lampard as well.
We haven't got a squad.
Benitez.
We haven't got a squad, but this is our criticism of dice. As well as he's done with this team this season, this is the criticism. You know, there's before all this mess, there was a video going around social media of me ranting and raving after the Arsenal game. But that particular game really annoyed me. It really, really annoyed me because of how we let that game 1-0 against Arsenal. Of how
was poor.
Of how much we let that game just ebb away without even really having a goal. And there was shades of this yesterday. Now I'm not gonna start ranting and raving about it. But I think there are opportunities that the manager can, also with the crowd, because like I said, it's like you've got the crowd are on your side. They're not leaving, apart from the parking with 10 minutes to go. They're not leaving. They want something to get behind.
Yeah.
But if an Ashley Young, people can sit here and they can go, oh, he's the new whipping boy, he's the new Michael Keane. That always annoys me when people say he's the new whipping boy. Because all it is he isn't playing well. And people aren't stupid. And if they see people not playing well, they think, why are they in the team? And then doubts start creeping into your mind about all the things. But certainly during games, you know, with three people with all different opinions, me and you have vastly different opinions, but we understand football enough to go, maybe we should. Like you said, take him off when he got the book, and I'm saying I'd taken him off at half time.
I'd like them straight.
You know, I think the three of us can meet in the middle and say after the penalty.
Well, definitely.
No, what I mean is though, absolutely.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, exactly. At a minimum, you take him off because you think, oof, if he gets one more, like when we like in the derby, we've all been watching football long enough to go, he's being destroyed here, take him off. The other fella took their fella off when he got away with one. Sometimes I look at dice and I just don't think I think you're not savvy enough to make the decision when, and don't get me wrong, it works the other way sometimes. Sometimes it does. It's a fine line. But I think for a position like that, where you're like, it will only benefit with 40 minutes to go if you bring either Seamus on. Imagine Seamus coming on yesterday, 2-0 down. He comes on and he goes, we can get something out of this. Because he's got that kind of attitude. Whereas Ashley Young's a bit like, I feel hard done by. And I'm not having a go with the fella. I do honestly think he was a good person to bring in, a good free transfer, a good squad member, a good guy to have around the place, really experienced. That doesn't mean he should be playing every single week.
I'd have made the change earlier and just add some energy because we just didn't have it. Seamus, if you'd brought him on, would have lifted the stadium. We hadn't seen him, first appearance of the season, all that. Patterson was the one for me with the energy. Should have had him on. But we can talk about Dwight McNeil and him not playing well. Well, he got taken off yesterday and there was a fella got put on who had the opportunity to nail, his colours to the mast and say, give me go now, Dan Zuma. And he come on and he just didn't do one or the other. We conceded the goal not long after he come on. That's not down to him, but we went 3-0 down, it was too easy. One ball and Martial just ran through the middle of them and think they're always seems to score against Everton. But Dan Zuma in possession of the ball, he seems to get it, goes past them and then stops and waits for them to come back and then tries to go again. It's like, what are you doing?
He's a moments player, isn't he? He's a player that would probably look boss on a YouTube video package, 10 minutes, so you can cut out that bit where he waits for and he come back and take the ball and just go, he's a good dribbler. He did absolutely nothing right. And the loss isn't down to him because it was gone before he came on the pitch. But there's a player who, to be honest, I was thinking, bring him on, because McNeil's been poor. Let's see what he's about. He shouldn't be out of the conversation.
You're looking for a spark, aren't you?
He came on and he did absolutely nothing right, and he's one of the players who, you know, on the bench, he's one of the first names you're looking at thinking he could potentially be a game changer. Because it's a small bench and there's a lot of kids on there, and, you know, 2 right backs. Dan Juma's the experienced attacker on the bench who, you know, got a decent record in European football in terms of goal scoring. He came on, he did nothing. The ball bounced off him about 5 times. He'd probably been chewing Dyche's ear off for an opportunity, and he came on, and I know it was only a cameo, but he did nothing right. He started against Burnley in the cup, and now he was out of his normal role, but he still had an opportunity to show, okay, at least I can work hard and replicate the hard work they expect in this role that Decore will sometimes give. Doesn't do that either. He's a player that I had relatively decent expectations for, because, you know, he'd done well at Bournemouth and he'd had good spells at Villarreal. He's been disappointing.
It can only be training, can't it? Like, it can only be his attitude in training that is stopping him from getting more minutes. Because I know he was poor yesterday, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt in saying, you know, coming on for the last 15 minutes of a game, and this is the first time we've seen him literally since the Burnley Cup game. So he hasn't had much time, and it is hard, and I do have a little bit of sympathy for him, but I don't into the fact that it must be what he's doing in training, because I don't think Dwight McNeil's been good at all. But I mean, no, we can package it up and say, well, defensively he's great, he works hard. We said numerous times it's the wingers' jobs to create chances for our centre forward and Decore. That's literally their job. They are offensive players, and if they're not doing it, yes, all that other stuff's great. And it's preferable that you have a player who does all that, but their job is to create stuff, and Dwight McNeil and Jack Harrison just don't create enough, and you need a player on the bench who's pushing them, who's not, so they're looking over their shoulder after an hour going, yeah, I need to do more here. But if they're not pushing, and as I said, that can only be from training, that can only be that he's not working hard enough, and the manager just looks at him and thinks, you're not going to give me what I need. And in this spell of games, we will need that. We can't be waiting till the last 20 minutes to change up our attacking plays when it's not working. Again, that's another issue where squad-wise it's scary. It's scary how limited we've got. We've got Beto, Danjuma, and a right back. Schmitty, and Dobbin.
I thought he'd done all right. Schmitty yesterday.
The kids. They're not going to come on it. They won't come on and change games for you. They might help. They might give you something. They might, like when Schmitty came on at West Ham, as a sort of like for like of Dom, and you can stick to the way you've been playing. But I don't think they're going to help you change your game, flip it round. Whereas someone like Dan Jumi's got a reputation where you look at his goals record and you think, well, actually, or his YouTube video, or you look at it and think, maybe he can do something off the bench. And if he doesn't come on and do anything, it's massively disheartening, because then you start thinking, well, we can't change the team, because why would you bring him into the team?
All he had to do yesterday was come on, beat a man and put a decent ball into the box, or, you know, win the ball back in the middle of the pitch and just carry it up. That would have been enough for people to say, you know what, give him a chance next game, because McNeil's been poor. And those two scenarios, more than in his locker, he could have done that. I just don't think he came on with the right levels of motivation or effort.
Look at Beto when he came on against Burnley in the cup, but you could see him trying to do something, and in the end he sets up the third goal, doesn't he? Yeah. Because they're just from desperate to want to do something. Yeah. And you look at Danjuma, you just think, has he got that? Is he desperate? Is he desperate to change this game, even if it's to get a goal back? You know what? We feed off that as we had in the ass. He used to do that all the time. Every time he came on, for as bad as he was, you could see him. You go, this fella, at least he wants to do it, and it would come off now and again. You know, and that's quite disheartening. That we are relying on so few players.
I thought Schmitty did quite well when he had that shot that he flashed just wide. He won a few headers, got himself sent, so we just didn't put the right ball in for him. We hit the bar, Michalenko struck the bar. We had another one that I don't know how it stayed out, like the yard out, and we missed, players going in at that. And it ends up obviously disappointing, 3-0 in the end. And you've got to lick your wounds and get back at it at Nottingham Forest at the weekend. And that's the only way we, for right now, there's not much we can do. All we can do is back the team, keep trying to highlight the protest stuff, hope that there's a quick decision on when the appeal will be. And once we do that, hopefully, everyone can focus on that and Everton get some wins in December, because we have got a tough month, got some big games. There's a lot of points there. If we could win a few games in that month, then we'd be in a much better place, obviously. There was no Amadou Onana yesterday, but Idrissa Gana Gueye was in there. He ran everywhere. Let's have a look at his numbers from yesterday. 79 touches he had. He won 50% of his duels, 4 interceptions, 3 tackles, accurate passes, 85%. Blazed one wide, had a great shot which Andre Onana pushed over the bar, which was a brilliant save. But we did miss Onana, didn't we? Because if you've got Onana and then you've got either Gueye next to him or you've got James Garner, you've then also got that energy to come off the bench. But right now, without no Andre Gomez and Dele, because they're the only two that are midfield players, really. Once one of our 3 centre midfield players are out, there isn't anybody to come on and help us there at all. And Idrissa Gana Gueye had a decent game, but it was noticeable how much, in my opinion, we missed Amadou Onana yesterday.
Yeah, his presence in the Everton midfield's been really important this season. I do think he really stepped it up a level, and like you say, missing him means that our midfield's picked for us beforehand, and that's why it's going to stay for the rest of the game. And there is a lack of adaptability there, which is something we're already struggling with, even in the areas where we have options, we don't adapt or change. And that was the story of the game, really, wasn't it? Because we started the game relatively well. We made chances. On another day at half-time, it could have been 2-0, but it wasn't. You need to adapt and you need to change. So that football's not a simulation. Things happen. There's moving parts where you have to react and change to them. And midfield was an area where we couldn't do that. And, with Onana back in the future, hopefully we'll have that option where we can bring Gueye off the bench, or, if Dele gets fit, he can come off the bench. But in the areas where we can adapt, we need to. And, that means bringing Patterson on, or it means Danjuma actually stepping up and being able to offer something. I'm sorry for going in on him so much, but it frustrated me because he didn't have to change the game yesterday. He just had to show that he can give us something going forward, and he never.
You're looking for a spark, aren't you? If you feel like he's been wronged a little bit because he hasn't had any chances, and yet when he does that, Sean Dyche has got every right to turn around and go, this is why Dwight McNeil plays, even whether he's not playing well or not, or this is why I don't bring Danjuma on, because this is where we are with them at the moment.
Yeah, of course.
You want players to get on, do a bit and go, I deserve to have a go here, and I'm not getting the chance.
I don't think anyone's sort of on Danjuma's side, are they, in terms of he mustn't train to the level the manager wants him to. And as you said, it can be difficult because you get on for a little short period of time.
Horrible being sub, isn't it?
When you're not getting on regularly and creating those partnerships and understanding your role within the team, it can be demoralising. But it's on the manager, isn't it? The manager's going to have to. The manager's basically playing with like 13 players. That's where our squad is at the moment. He's got, and as you mentioned, if you haven't got Onana and you haven't got the player on the bench. I thought we just missed Onana on the ball. I was just getting the ball and keeping it nice and simple. I think that frees up James Garner a little bit. To maybe just push into little pockets of space where he can try and affect the game. I just think at the moment he finds it. James Garner can be anonymous in these games, although he's
putting the effort in, but he's just not in the game.
It just doesn't influence the game in terms of creating chances. And Decore's role at home in these kind of games with better opposition, I think he had something like, I don't think he had over 20 touches. It was very low. It might be a little bit more, but it was very.
He's better. Decore's so effective away from Goodison. He's key away from home, but at home there are a lot of games that sort of pass him by. He's just not in the game because he doesn't.
Because you're not creating enough
space for him to work in. Yeah, it's frustrating. Let's have a look at the overall stats anyway from the game. There we go, Everton 0, Man United 3. 24 shots from Everton, 9 from Manchester United. 6 on target for the Blues, 4 for United. 3 big chances each, 50%.
Too much possession.
Too much possession.
Too
It's a
much
killer.
possession.
It's a killer.
It's yet another game where, because I think if you look into like the fine numbers of it, we were like 50.7 or something. So, you know, overall,
That's
we
that
just
weird.
about...
Sky had us 51.49, didn't he?
Yeah, but the others 51.50. Sky.
50, actually, sorry,
which
51.50.
is impossible.
Which is impossible.
So fair play to us. You know, breaking records, aren't we?
That's what it's
Lowest
about.
points deduction ever. Broke
Biggest
the,
fine for the pitch
possession
invasion,
scale.
broke the
But,
possession.
It's another game where a Sean Dyche team has had more possession, or at least more possession than they'd like to, and not got the result, and it is a bit of a worrying correlation. I don't care about possession, I care about what we do with the ball, but it seems more and more apparent when we do have more of the ball, we don't actually know what to do with it. Especially when we can't get up the pitch the way we'd want to because the wing play's being shut down. And
well, not having players like Mathew Onana doesn't help, does it?
He can carry the ball as well, and
Exactly.
that's another way up the pitch. So, you know, I don't want to criticise Dyche too much for that, but it's another one. It's another one for the collection, and it does have to be acknowledged.
Well, listen, we go to Forest at the weekend. It's a good opportunity to get back on the horse. It's a tough game. They're very good at home, although they lost their own to Brighton at the weekend. Got to go there, put up a fight like we did last season, and we should have won there last season. So let's see what the manager comes up with. Hopefully, Mathew Onana will be available at the weekend to strengthen the squad. James Coleman hopefully have another week training and may well come back into the side for that one. But fingers crossed, this one didn't work out the way we hoped. So we've got to just carry on with it, because that's all we can do, isn't it? Yeah. And hopefully we'll start winning some games of football. We're carrying on over on Toffee TV Premier now. So hit the like button for this. Subscribe if you haven't, if you want to become a Toffee TV Premier. Remember, the link is in the description. The QR code will be on the screen now. See you later. Hello.